Good morning, Darlacansell, real estate agent with a Real Broker in South Louisiana. Most specifically, especially if you're a buyer, the Acadiana area, anywhere in South Louisiana. If you are thinking about selling anytime soon, I'll list just about anywhere in Louisiana. But today is one of my favorite days. Over the last couple of weeks, I've gotten lots of calls from buyers who are pre-approved or who are cash buyers who have proof of funds and are house hunting and want me to represent them. That is one of my most favorite calls. Of course, I love getting calls from sellers, and I get those calls lots also, but I love this call. We are pre-approved for this amount, we have this type of loan, and we want to go house hunting. Sometimes I even get this call, and this is another call that I absolutely love. We have attended an open house. We have found a house that we love, and we would like you to represent us as the buyers. I love that call. I have been in real estate now 5.5 years. I've probably closed now close to getting on 400, that's crazy, huh? 400 transactions over the past 5.5 years. And I tell you, I've seen just about everything that could be found by a home inspector during a home inspection. And I always tell people, I don't care if the house that you are buying is brand spanking new or if it's 1,000 years old. You as the buyer, in your purchase agreement, should have something called your due diligence and inspection period, which means during that time, as the buyer, you have the right to walk away from that deal, no questions asked, because that's your right during your due diligence period. So if your due diligence period, let's say, is 7 days, that first day of the 7 days begins the day after the last person signed the purchase agreement. So if it was on October 1st that the last person signed the deal, you have 7 days beginning on the 2nd, on October the 2nd. You have 7 days to have it inspected by anyone that you choose to. Listen, you can have it inspected by your dad, your uncle, your brother, your cousin. What I would recommend, and I always recommend to buyers, is yes, you want a thorough inspection by a licensed inspector who will have a very detailed list of things that they are looking for in that home, and you want to have it inspected. And I don't care, like I said, if the house was built yesterday or built 1,000 years ago. You want to have that house inspected. There is absolutely no such thing as a perfect house. None. And the conversation that I'm going to have with you if you're the buyer is going to look totally different if you're buying a brand new home or you're buying a very old home. Now, by brand new, I mean it could be a flipped home that someone bought and renovated, sealing the floor, did all the new plumbing, did all new electrical, did all new walls, did all new flooring. If that's the kind of house that you are buying, I would say that it should be as close to perfect as humanly possible. Or if it's new construction, it should be as close to perfect as humanly possible. And if it's not, you as the buyer have a couple of options when that inspection comes through. You can walk away, and you don't even have to have a reason. You do not have to have a reason during your due diligence inspection period. If you are just walking away because, let's say that something was flagged during the inspection that was just so astronomical that you feel like, wow, this is just too huge, I don't even want to deal with this. Let's say there's a major roof issue, the house has been leaking and it's full of mold, right? That may be a reason that a buyer would walk away. Now, I will tell you, I've represented now close to 400 people over the last 5.5 years, and I can count on one hand the number of buyers that have walked away from a deal. Because this is what I tell buyers. Every single thing is repairable. Everything. If you have foundation issues, listen, depending on how bad they are, those even can be fixed. If you have a leaky roof, that can be fixed. If you have a broken air conditioner, that can be fixed. If you have plumbing issues, that can be fixed. Literally everything can be fixed. But it's your right as the buyer to know that you have the right to walk away for whatever reason that you choose to. Now, if it's a home that is lived in, let's say you're buying a home, it's about 30, 40, 50 years old, it's been lived in for years, this is what I will say to you as the buyer. You're buying a used, lived-in home. There are going to be lots and lots and lots and lots of things wrong with that home. You're not expecting to buy a brand new home, right? So, your inspector is probably going to have a mile-long list of things that are wrong with the home. And then you, as the buyer, have a couple of decisions to make. You can decide, out of all the things that are wrong with this house, what are the 3, 4, 5 major things that you either A, want the seller to fix, B, you want a price reduction, C, you want a combination of both. Maybe you want a small price reduction and you want a couple of things fixed. You may be the kind of person that says, I don't want anyone fixing it. I want to hire my people to fix it the exact right way, the way I want it fixed. And listen, y'all, I'm about to go through Egan, so I'm probably about to lose you for a second. The Wi-Fi with T-Mobile in Egan is just not too fun to deal with. I should have never switched from AT&T. That's a side note. But again, back to my story. If you're a buyer and you're buying a used house and it was built maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago and it's lived in, you are expecting things to be wrong with the house. It's a used house. People live in it. There's no such thing as a perfect house. No such thing, but especially a house that's quite a few years old, that's lived in, that's used, right? So after the inspection comes back, you're going to have probably about a 40 to 50 to 60 page inspection report from your inspector. Your job as the buyer with your real estate agent, who you know, like, and trust, remember that's important, is to determine what are the 4, 5, maybe 6 major things, if there are anything major. Listen, there may be minor things wrong with the house, and you're like, listen, those are so minor, that doesn't even matter to me. Take a couple of $1,000s off the price and let's move forward towards appraisal, okay? And call it a day. And the vast majority of the buyers that I represent, that ends up being the case. Most of the time, there aren't a whole lot of major things wrong, because most sellers, listen, most people with common sense who have real estate agents with common sense are going to be proactive and are going to say, listen, you need to get your house ready to sell, so you want to be proactive as possible, and you want to fix all those little things that an inspector may find, maybe things that you haven't done in a while. Listen, one of the things that just baffles my mind on a daily basis is how many people literally never change their air conditioning filters. I don't understand that at all. Listen, I would say at least, at minimal, change your air conditioning filter at least every 3 months. Lots of people will say, depending on what filter you use, you should change it every 30 days. If you have those little cheapy filters, every 30 days. If you have the ones that are a little bit higher grade, maybe every 2 to 3 months. But you would be surprised at how many houses I go into, and it looks like the filter for that air conditioner has never been changed ever. Like, some of them are so thick and coated with dirt and dust. How is that air even circulating through that filter to get into the house? It absolutely baffles my mind. And I would say probably a good 70% of houses, when I go to list them, the very first thing I say is change that filter, change it often, clean around all that area, clean around your hot water heater, look under your sinks and make sure you don't have those little bitty leaks under all your sinks. A lot of times when we're putting things under bathroom sinks, kitchen sinks, we knock around the plumbing, and a lot of times those fittings get loose, and there will just be a very, very, very small drip that we never notice because we live there. We're not looking for it. But let me tell you what, an inspector's going to find it. An inspector's job is going to, one of the things an inspector does when they inspect a house is they turn on, so imagine this, your house is on blocks, your house is on piers. This is one of the things they do. They turn on the water in the whole house. So they're turning on all the sinks, all the showers, all the bathtubs. They're letting all the water run, and then they are crawling underneath the house very slowly, and they're looking for drips that are coming through the bottom of the floor, right? And a great majority of houses, people say, my God, I never even knew that was leaking, because you weren't looking for it. You live there. That's just what happens. And listen, you're not, that's not anything out of the ordinary. It happens, and I'm turning around because I missed my turn. Yeah, hold on a minute. It happens daily. It happens daily. So if you are a seller, I would say to you, be very proactive in knowing all those things. If you have a cracked window, for example, let's say you just happen to have a cracked window and you've never gotten around to changing that pane, or it may even have to be the whole window changed out. Listen, that's something that I would say an inspector is absolutely going to flag. If you are missing a handrail on your front steps, probably that's something that's going to get flagged. If you have rotten wood or peeling paint, that's going to get flagged. Now, again, back to the inspection from the buying standpoint. If you are the buyer, you are in the position during your due diligence and inspection period to walk away, no questions asked. You can ask the seller to fix anything you want to, and if I'm representing you as the buyer, I'm going to say, listen, we're not going to be ridiculously nitpicky with this. If you're buying a used house, and I'm talking about a house that